Once you've played your first note and gotten it nice and pretty, it's not that hard then to go and play your first octave. So let's get right into it. Each finger hole is covered by a specific finger. For the standard 6-hole flute, it looks a bit like this, with your left pointer covering hole 1 at the highest point on your flute, left middle covering hole 2, left ring covering hole 3, and then with your right hand, your pointer covering 4, middle covering 5, and ring covering 6. When holding the flute should be pointed to your right hand side, with your left hand pointing away from your body and your right hand pointing towards your body. This is actually the same way you would hold a recorder or a tin whistle, but held on its side. Use your 2 thumbs to hold up the flute with the side of your pointer supporting it against your bottom lip. When you don't have any of the holes covered, you can sometimes use your pinky to help support it, but this won't be so necessary when you've got all your fingers down. Now, without any of the holes covered, let's play the note that we played in the last video. Now, while playing that note, slowly cover the first hole with your left pointer. Again, this is very helpful to do it in front of a mirror so you can see what you're actually doing. Make absolutely sure that you are covering the entire hole and not leaking any air. Now, slowly go down and cover holes 1, 2, 3, and 4. You may have noticed going down that each of the notes feels slightly different to play. This is because the flute wants you to play slightly differently for every single note. Most notably, the lowest notes tend to prefer a slower and lower in direction airstream, with the highest notes preferring the opposite of that, a slightly faster, more upward direction of airstream. Now, continue down the range until you're able to play the lowest note with all of the holes covered. The lowest notes tend to be the trickiest to get at, and especially if you're leaking any air. You will want to look in front of a mirror just to make sure you're not leaking any air. If you are leaking any air, then often the note will fail to come out entirely, so make sure that your hands are relaxed, but that the holes are properly covered. Again, the lowest note is the most difficult to get at in the first octave, so don't worry if it takes you a little bit of time to be able to do it. Once you're able to do the lowest note consistently, it's time to try and hit the octave above. Play the lowest note, but blow it a little bit higher, a little bit faster, and at the same time, lift this finger up. What you should hear is this, the first note of the second octave. Once you're able to play this, congratulations, you can play an entire octave on your flute. All you need to do is play up from the lowest note, slowly going up, raising your fingers one by one, and then when you get to the top, do the lowest note again, but with the finger up to get the octave above. Your fingering chart will have more fingerings that will allow you to play notes that are outside of the key that your flute is tuned to. For example, this one is in C major. However, if you start on the lowest note and progress up one by one until you hit that top octave, you will have just played the major scale that your flute is tuned to. This is enough to get started playing many songs, especially the more basic ones. However, in order to reach the full range of your flute and be able to play a much larger amount of music, you'll need to learn how to play the second octave using a thing called harmonics, which is what we'll be talking about in the next video.